Here are some scenarios of ambiguous cases. I'm going to work out 3 different examples that will help clarify some of the confusion, if any. So in the first problem, in triangle GHI, side G is 890 inches, side I is 610 inches, and angle I is 158 degrees. Find all the possible values of G. So let's go ahead and set that up. So here's the constructed triangle, and we are asked to find all the possible angles of G. So basically this arc measure right there in yellow. Because this is an SSA problem, we're going to use law of sines, and law of sines always says that you are going to take a proportion and you're going to set it equal to another proportion. And what I suggested to you guys is to, whatever you are looking for, to put it in the numerator of the first fraction. So if I'm looking for angle G, I am going to need to write the sine of angle G in this numerator. The side length of G that is across from angle G is going to be 890. And then I need to put the proportion where I do know the angle and the side across from it. In this case, it's the combination of the I. Notice that angle I has a side length of 610 right across from it. So I'm going to put sine of 158 degrees has to go at the top, and 610 side length goes at the bottom. So in order to solve for sine G, what I'm going to type into the calculator is, I'm going to do alpha y equals on the calculator, and I'm going to cross multiply the 890 and the sine 158. So 890 times the sine of 158 degrees, and you don't have to put the parentheses actually. I think the calculator puts it for you, but let's just write it the way we see it. 158 divided by 610. And then once you get that answer, your angle G is going to be the sine inverse of whatever that answer was. And you just use that answer button on the calculator so that you don't have to type everything out. So let me go find that answer for us. Okay, so I've put that into the calculator, rounding to the nearest degree. So we get 33 degrees is angle G. Okay, so now the question is this an acceptable answer? Okay, is 33 degrees, is this an acceptable answer? Well, I'm going to put 33 degrees up here where we have highlighted. And the way you know it's an acceptable answer is that you know G, I, and H angles have to always add and end up being 180 degrees. Well, when I add 33 plus 158, I end up with 191. So that means I'm not able, my bad, to find H, because the 3 angles need to add up to 180. But if I go and add G plus I right now, I'm going to get 191 degrees, and that is way past 180 degrees, which is the sum of that all angles of a triangle have to equal. So in that case, this answer of 33 degrees is not possible. Okay, it's not going to work. So you are going to click the no solution answer on this button. Okay, so I don't know I can't remember what the button is called, but it's either not possible or no solution, but that's what's going to happen there. Sometimes also when you take the sine inverse of an answer, you end up with an error button on the calculator. Sometimes you'll get an error message. That as well is a no solution, okay? So if you get an error message right on the first try, just know it's a no solution. If you know you've placed everything correctly on your proportions, error message means not possible. Okay? But again, this one, 33 degrees, cannot work because when you add the G and the I angle, it already surpasses 180 degrees, and that's not possible. 3 angles have to add to be 180. So that's how that one works, okay? So let's go on to the next one. Okay, so here's the next one, another IJK problem. They gave us angle J to be 121 degrees. Side K is 8.3, so that means that across from angle K, the side length has to equal 8.3 centimeters. So let's go ahead and label this side as 8. Wow, that 8 doesn't look like an 8. 8.3. And then side J has to be 9.1. So across from the J angle, we have a 9.1. Okay, so we are looking for all possible values of K. So we're looking for this angle right over here. So we're either going to have one solution, 2 solutions, or no solution. So again, we are going to set up a proportion because we know it's law of sines, because we ended up with an SSA classification. And SSA classification says that whatever we're looking for, mention that first. At least that's what I suggest. You don't have to, but so sine K or angle K is what we're looking for, but you still have to write the word sine first. So the sine of K over lowercase k. Lowercase k is across from angle K, so that's going to be 8.3. So 8.3. And then the sine of an angle and the paired sides. So the only ones that have a paired angle and side is that one right there. So let's write sine of 121 degrees over 9.1. We're going to do the cross multiplication again. So sine of angle K equals 8.3 times the sine of 121 degrees all over 9.1. And yes, you guessed it, we're going to find K by taking the sine inverse of our entire previous answer. And let me go do that right now. So stand by. So K is going to equal, okay, so typed it in the calculator, and our K value is ending up with an answer of 51.4 degrees. So this right here, this angle right here, is ending up being 51.4 degrees. All right. So is this a possible answer? Okay, so let's see. If we know that J is 121 degrees and K is 51.4 degrees, are we able to still find angle I if we needed to? Well, let's figure out. So J, the one that's given to us, plus the K, the one we just found, is 121 degrees plus 51.4 degrees. Okay, now when I add those two together, oops, give me a second, I get 172.4 degrees. And that is definitely less than 180 degrees. So that means if I needed to go find I, we still have some degrees left over to find I. So you would do 180 minus 172.4 to figure out I. So in this case, this angle, K, is working. So far that's acceptable. Okay, that's acceptable. So I'm going to come over here and say yes. 51.4 degrees, we had to round to the nearest tenth of a degree, so that's one place, is an acceptable answer. Okay, So that's angle K number 1. That's the first K we found. Now the question is, that's K number 1. The question is, does K number 2 exist? So if you find that one angle exists, in the ambiguous case, does K2 exist? Hold on, I guess I should write the question first. If you do accept the first angle as an acceptable answer, you are automatically obligated to go figure out if the second one exists, okay? The second angle value is always going to be the supplement of K1, and the supplement means the angle that causes 51.4 to become 180 degrees. So if I take 180 degrees and subtract it from the first angle you found that did work, you are going to check to see if that value works, okay? So the second possible angle of K is the supplement angle of 128.6. So I'm going to box this and I'm going to put a question mark because I need to ask the same question I did earlier with the first angle. So we know that J is still 121. That one's not going to change. But now we want to know, does the J plus the K2 angle that we just found, is that going to be less than 180? So my J is 121 degrees plus my K2 is 128.6 degrees. Well, that definitely went over 180 degrees. So there's no way that we can find I if K number 2 was 128.6. So this is a big no. This one would not work. So only this solution is the acceptable one. So this here is an example of an ambiguous case where there's only one solution. So what does two solutions look like? So yes, I left that for the last problem. So let's just get a little line here drawn out to separate the one solution scenario with the second solution scenario. So let me go ahead and draw out what this triangle is going to look like. Okay, so here's our constructed triangle for this problem. So J and I have been given to us. So notice that J is across from angle J. Let's highlight here so you are seeing what I'm saying. Little j is across from angle J. Then little I, lowercase I, is 440, and it has to be across from angle I40, 69, I mean. And yeah, and the 69 was given to you. So they are asking us to find all possible angles for J. So that's the unknown. So set up our proportions since we have an SSA problem. So that equals to that. We are looking for J, so we're going to write sine of angle J. And that's the uppercase J. The lowercase j is the length of the side across from angle J, so 460. And then we're going to use the proportion that is given to us, sine 69 over 440. And so the sine of 69 has to go at the top, since the signs are in the numerator in this problem, and 440 at the bottom. So J is going to be, let's do this all in one short step, the sine inverse of 460 times the sine of 69 all over 440 degrees. Okay, so J is going to equal, we need to round to the nearest degree, 77 degrees. So right now, that is a question mark. Is that an acceptable answer? So let's go check. Our given angle is I, and our possible J answer is 77, and we need to add those two numbers. So 69 plus 77 are those two numbers going to add and be less than 180? Well, I plus J in this case ended up being 146 degrees, which is definitely less than 180, which gives us enough degrees to find the other angle K, which we're not being asked to find, but that's the whole point. If J was 77 degrees, given that I is 69, would we be able to find K? Yes, because the sum of both those angles are less than 180, okay? Because 69 is never going to change. So I'm going to put 77 degrees up here. So this angle right here of 77 degrees can work, okay? Because 77 plus 69 is less than 180. So I'm going to put 77 degrees here. And I'm going to box it in because it does work. Now the question is, does the supplement of this angle work? Okay, so what is the supplement of angle J? Well, the supplement of angle J, let's call it J number 2, is going to be whatever the angle is that causes 77 to become 180. So I have to subtract 180 minus 77 to get that value. 103 degrees. So the question is, I'm going to again box it here and put a question mark. Can J also be the degree 103? Well, let's pick a different color. Let's make it green up here. Instead of 77, can it be 103 degrees? Well, let's see. Our given angle I plus the other option for J, will it end up being less than 180 degrees? Well, 69 plus 103 is 172 degrees. And 172 degrees is also less than 180 degrees. So we would be able to find K if we wanted to, because 69 plus the 103 is less than 180. So 103 is an acceptable answer. And so here's an example where you end up with two solutions that are acceptable. That means two triangles can be constructed with the given measurements that they gave us. I being 440, J being 460, and I being 69 degrees. You can draw two different triangles and use these exact measurements. And that's how you do ambiguous cases.